So, like I said, we're gonna move that consent agenda toward the end. So we're gonna skip over that one. But other than that, there's no amendments to tonight's agenda. I would like to note, though, that our last reported delegates meeting, which was last October, we celebrated the Region of Excellence Awards, and that meeting structure did not require minutes to be taken, so there's not any of that. So moving right along, we're gonna skip all the way to item 2, which is the Centralina introduction and board overview. I'm gonna now introduce Geraldine Gardner, Centralina Executive Director, who will share an introduction to Centralina organization and the responsibilities of the Board of Delegates and the Executive Board. Geraldine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. So delighted to have you all here. Appreciate you making the trip in the rain. I know that always causes havoc on our highways to get here. And thank you for those who are on Zoom. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can't, please let me know, and I'm happy to get a little closer to the microphone. Really appreciate everyone of our returning delegates taking on this responsibility to represent Centralina. And for our new delegates, thank you for lending your time and talent to this organization so that we can all work together to move our region forward and to support our communities in doing the good work that you and your staff do for your constituents. Tonight, I'm just going to take a few minutes to go over some key points of information. It might be a little bit of a refresher for our continuing delegates and maybe some new information for our new delegates. You all received a packet tonight when you checked in, a little Centralina bag, and in that bag is your delegate handbook. So I'm going to go through a few things in your delegate handbook. For those of you on Zoom, we will be getting those out to you. You can follow along as we kind of page through this and orient you to a little bit about Centralina and your responsibilities as a delegate. All right, so in the first tab of the delegate handbook, there's a lot of information about Centralina, who we are as an organization, our purpose, our mission, the focus areas that we have as an organization, and our 3 goals or levels of impact. And in just a moment, I'll walk through those 3 goals and give you some examples of the work that we do. But I wanted to call your attention to a new document that we've created. It's the very last page in that first tab. And for those of you who've been a part of Centralina for a little while, you might remember something that we had called the 10 fast facts about Centralina. And so we always know that it might be challenging for our delegates to remember all of the wonderful things that we do at Centralina because we do so much. So we've created a new version of this document that we hope will be a great reference to you as you talk about the work that we do in Centralina and can draw on these 10 key facts about who we are, what we do, and how we serve our members. So I just wanted to call your attention to that as a resource. Since this is the first meeting of the year, I want to take a moment to emphasize our mission of leading regional collaboration and sparking local action. So this is really the sole function of our organization is to do the big picture regional planning, but also to support you and your communities in doing the best work for your constituents. We've got fantastic departments here at Centralina, and you'll hear a little bit more in our county caucus discussions from our directors. But really our team is dedicated to serving this mission through our work across the organization. So I want to talk a little bit about our 3 levels of impact now. The first that we really focus on is our creative regional problem solving. And this is the collaboration that we do across the region on issues like economic development, mobility, how we work with our state and federal partners on advocacy. And one of the things that we've been doing for the last several years is a lot of regional planning work. So as we approach the next year and we think about the future, we're really going to be drilling down on how do we support you and support our region in implementing these plans. And to that end, in the third tab of your handbook, the tab called Our Work, you'll see another resource document that we've created. It should be about third page. And it's a document that is showcasing all of our regional plans that we have created across the organization the last several years. So this is a guide, a resource. If your boards or your staff have questions about what type of regional planning work does Centralina do, you can refer to this document. And our departments and our experts here at Centralina can help you think through how do we implement this work in our communities. So hopefully you'll utilize that resource. Another key aspect of our regional work. Stuff. There we go. Is advocacy. I had the pleasure of being in Newfie the last few days, talking with our Senate offices and meeting our freshman congressmen. Very productive meetings. Kyle Leopard from Strategics Consulting, our federal relations consultant, is here. Was with me on that trip. And it was really great to know, we started those meetings, how much they knew about councils of government and the work that we do at Centralina, and that they really see themselves as partners with us in navigating how the federal government can help us be successful here in the region. We also do a lot of work at the state level, supported by EQB Strategic. And each year, the executive board adopts a federal and a state advocacy agenda that staff then carry out in partnership with our consultants. So they're in tab, the last tab of your packet has information about our delegation at the state and federal level. It has their contact information as well as copies of the executive summary of our advocacy. All right. So with that, I want to turn it over to let's see. This one, all right, support to local governments. So the heart of our mission are the communities that we serve, from our unique towns and our growing suburbs to our vibrant metropolitan areas. So we're really dedicated to ensuring that your communities have the resources and the tools that you need to be successful. So the work that we do in our government affairs and member engagement department, as well as our planning department and community economic development, provides information, professional development, data, mapping, as well as technical assistance services. So this is a really important resource for you all to think about how we can support and build capacity in your communities by providing that helping hand. So in tab 3 of your handbook, the Our Work section, you'll see a listing of all the services as well as the staff contacts for our departments that you're welcome to reach out to at any time. And to showcase a little bit about how our services can support your departments, we've put together a short video that we'll show next, and that really positions our work for your community. So let's take a look at that.
Serving local governments, how Centralina makes room for communities.
I get the sound for a second. While we're waiting for the sound, we just take a pause to see if anyone has any questions so far on what we are working on at the regional level or for local services.
I would just give you an attaboy from, and she didn't pay me to say this. This is one of those free announcements. Are we ready?
Okay.
She came in, she or COG is actually doing, Centralina is actually doing some work with Albemarle on their budgeting and on their strategic planning. So, it's right here. And sometimes it's better if we bring somebody outside in to help us walk through so that we can throw things at her and not throw things at staff if that needs to be done. So, I mean, really, there's a lot to be said for that. She can rein people in, both staff and elected.
Thank you.
Okay, I tried to kill some time there. Didn't do enough.
Okay, all right, well, we'll keep moving and we'll come back to the video in just a minute. Curious, can you go back to the slide deck? Oops. All right, in our last level of service, oh my gosh, going too far. There we go. Is our support to individuals. So Centralina administers programs for older adults, for our area agency on aging, as well as our workforce development programs. So we are supporting your constituents and having a great quality of life, aging with dignity and place, and your businesses accessing trained talent and supporting career seekers in your community. So we do this really focusing on empowering people and collaborating with partners at the county level, with businesses, and with nonprofit organizations. So a little added dimension to the work that we do at Centralina. So a couple of ways for you to engage with us as our delegates. So we do have a member portal on our website. The information is in your delegate handbook, as well as the password to this. Please disseminate this to your staff and your fellow elected officials. It's a great resource. It has archived training videos. It has grants information, has information about our state and federal advocacy. So we really encourage you to make use of this resource. I also wanted to highlight our Centralina Learns professional development series. In the front pocket of your delegate handbook, you have a forecast of upcoming training opportunities that for the rest of this fiscal year. A couple of things that we're focused on for enhancing our engagement and training options for elected officials. And in particular, I wanted to highlight next Wednesday on Zoom at 11 a.m. We're going to be doing a session on how to have productive state and federal advocacy meetings and engagement. So we've got a lot of new folks in Raleigh and in DC. There might be things that you want to talk to your elected officials about, and how to make those meetings effective and follow up is a little bit of an art and a little bit of a science. So we're going to have our friends from Strategics and EQB, as well as some practitioners and elected officials as part of that discussion. And we hope you join us for that Centralina Learns. Now. See.
Serving local governments. How Centralina makes room for communities to thrive. Our local governments are being presented with more complex challenges than ever before. Keeping pace with rapid regional growth is just one of these demanding challenges. Centralina can help. Our team of experts is equipped with tools for every local government department. Managers at every level can look to us for help with grants, strategic planning, and designing productive meetings with actionable takeaways. Ready for budget season? If not, no worries. We can assist with every step of the process. Strong organizations start with the people in them. Find the best fit for open positions and take advantage of complementary manager search assistance. Get ahead of growth by letting Centralina tackle issues like land use, downtown redevelopment, affordable housing, and code enforcement. Centralina can strengthen your ability to reduce congestion and improve choices for all modes of travel. Create places where your community can unwind and connect with land use planning and tailored mobility assessments. Equip your first responders with talented leadership funding support through grant awards and sensitivity training to prepare them to serve all members of their community. Your departments. Our services. Endless possibilities. Ask your departments to contact us directly for more information.
So oftentimes we talk about our departments, and our communications folks really thought it might be helpful for you to hear how our work might fit into your departments and your focus areas. So we'll share the link to this video after, and feel free to send that around, and we can talk more about how we might be able to help you in the coming fiscal year. So I just wanted to wrap up a little bit by talking about the Board of Delegates and your role here in this organization. So please take advantage of this opportunity to connect and build relationships with each other. We're going to be meeting in counties in just a few moments, and that's a great opportunity to connect with other elected officials and share things that you're working on, challenges that you have in your community. It's really important to be present and engaged in Centralina because you are guiding our strategic direction as an organization. So what you vote on, what you give us in terms of priorities really shapes our work and how we spend our time and your resources. So you being a part of the conversation and showing up and being engaged in these 4 meetings that we have each year is really important to ensuring that we're working in line with your expectations. In terms of your role as a delegate, we talk about our delegates as decision makers. Obviously, there's key things like tonight's budget discussion that will be on your agenda for decision making. Your advisors to us as staff, your connectors to each other, and connecting Centralina to your community. We hope you'll help us champion the region and a regional approach as we look at our work. And then hopefully, one or more of you might be interested in serving in an expanded capacity on our executive board. So we're actually, let me just pause right here to see if there's any questions about Centralina and your role as a delegate. Okay. So we're going to move right into item 3, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman, I can talk about the executive board. So in addition to the Board of Delegates, we have an executive board that meets with additional frequency and has additional responsibilities for the organization. So in your packet, there's more information about the executive board, but briefly, the executive board really provides extra guidance and decision-making responsibilities. They are part of our annual work plan development. They engage in more in-depth policy conversations. They're active participants in our federal and state relations, and have more specific decision-making responsibilities as outlined in our bylaws. The meeting dates for 2025 are listed here. And these are meetings in addition to our Board of Delegates meetings. According to our bylaws, the executive board automatically includes board officers. There are 8 counties, so the delegates from those counties, the city of Charlotte and the city of Lincolnton. And Lincolnton because there's only 1 municipality in Lincoln County. To be the other representatives to the executive board are selected tonight. So each county that is selected to caucus will meet in just a few moments to select 1 municipal representative to the executive board. And there'll be a staff member in each room to guide you through that process. And there are 2 at-large appointments that the chair makes to this board as well. So tonight, the counties that will caucus are Anson, Cabarrus, Iredell, Rowan, and Stanley. Okay. And let's see here. So Gaston, Lincoln, Mecklenburg, and Union will stay in this room. We'll have a short facilitated discussion. And the counties that you see here listed will go in just a moment with our staff to a separate room. If you're on, If you're on Zoom, you will be moved to a Zoom room, so please accept that invite and you will be moved to participate in that conversation.
Okay.
So let me.
I mean, most people grab one and they're content. Some grab two, but I probably would say do 4 dozen. That gives you a little bit of extra, but that would give you at least one for everyone. So that would be, I mean, obviously, ideally, everybody can have 2. Oh, you could call us 30, 45 minutes earlier and we can do it because we have it baked. So we just have to frost them for you. And honestly, we do have 2 assortments that we have ready all the time. So, I mean, even if you walked in and had to grab them at the last minute or decided to add an extra dozen at the last minute, we could do it for you. So that would be a custom assortment, but we do have those, both lemon, raspberry, and our gluten-free chocolate chip cookies. Yep. What I would do if they're like really sensitive to gluten, though, I would just order a box. It's a little bit larger, but that way it's completely packaged separate. Yeah.
Let's go. Hold on, let me see if there's anybody. No. Who's on Zoom? Is there anybody from Stanley?
So, and some people really are very, very sensitive that it makes them sick. So, you know, I wouldn't want to do that.
Crystal, we hear you, Crystal.
Oh, sorry.
I don't mind telling.
She doesn't want to say something. She doesn't want to.
Okay, so we should have all of our,
That's where the breach is.
I don't think you have anyone.
Okay,
else.
so I didn't think
Well,
so.
you'll find out in your room when you get there. 'cause
Someone
they
should be there.
They should,
Yeah.
if they're there, they're on Zoom.
Yeah, it's alert.
Okay.
Hi.
All right, so we have our Gaston, Gaston, Lincoln, Union, and Mecklenburg in this room. Let me put the Zoom folks on so we can see them. There we go. Now they're in the room.
Hi, Amelia.
I hear David's voice. I can't see him.
That's good. I parked it. I'm in the back row on purpose.
Aha, you Methodist.
Okay.
It's 2 actually, actually back row Baptist today.
All right. So, I have a request for you guys. We've talked a little bit before about, Centralina's strategic plan that we are in the process of updating right now.
We don't all know each other.
And we will do that 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. So while we're waiting for all the Zoom rooms to be situated, I would love it if you all in the room could, and on Zoom, take this QR code and just do our strategic priorities survey. And then once we have all of the Zoom situated, we will do some introductions and have a conversation. Can you guys see that on Zoom?
I do. How do I scan it on Zoom if I'm on my phone on Zoom?
Well, you probably can't. I might be able to email it to you or to.
Yeah, if you want to do that, does it have to be done right now or can I do it once I get off?
You can do it once you get off. Are you
If you
driving?
email it to, no, I'm at work in a back room right this second. I went back here for internet connection. So if you send it to me, I'll do it right after the meeting.
Okay, I will definitely do that.
Perfect,
But
thank you.
for those of you who are not in front of on their phone, I will put the link
Oh, your
in
phones.
the chat. How about
In
that?
between your. Oh, that's the mic.
It's the yellow.
Listen, you said my thumbs, I'll use a picture. Listen, my fingers are crooked.
So it's in your chat too, if that's easier to access.
I don't do these things.
That's why I got grandkids for.
Just do it a few times and it'll be like, oh, that's not that hard. It's not. So now you got it. Right, this one. Wait, they want to know.
Bring the people in the main room. Okay, I'll mute that in a second. I just move around. So you're.
But it does not look like we have any.
I break the silence and ask for a few photo ops.
They're just doing their survey real quick. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Thanks, Malin.
Of course.
Could you actually troubleshoot for me?
Yeah.
At the game table, they can't hear, Commissioner Helm, so feel free to call him on speakerphone, might be easier. I know, they just didn't join the actual groups, so that was the issue. Oh, it's fine. As room. Now they're in this room. I moved them in, but they were still in this room.
Okay. So you can turn your camera.
I think they're okay now. Yeah. right, is everyone? Need a few more minutes? Everyone done?
And
Okay, why don't we just do a little round of introductions? Let's start with our Zoom room. Who wants to go first?
I will. My name is Dwayne Chitwood, and I'm with the City of Lowell.
Norwood. And Roanne, the council member, Sean Rush. Back with us again. All right, so, thank you all, and, well. All right, so we do have a quorum,
We do.
and so we are going to go back over to consent agenda really quickly, knock that one out, and then we'll come back to item 4. So on our consent agenda.
You on the paper, you on the book.
No, not in the book, it should, yes, just. So for our consent agenda, it only includes one item, and that's the minutes for the August 14th, 2024 meeting. So can I have a
Motion to approve, Martha say.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hey, that was easy. Motion passed. Thank you. All right, moving right along. All right, item number 4 on the agenda is the nominating committee report and officer elections. At this time, I'd like to call on 2025 nominating committee representatives, Councilmember Sean Wright, the Spencer, and Councilmember Christian Johalik of Indian Trail to present their report and recommendation and recommended slate of officers.
All right, well, good evening, Centralina delegates. On behalf of our nominating committee, which consists of Mayor Pro Tem Martha Sue Hall from Albemarle, Councilwoman Butcher from Indian Trail, Councilwoman Harris from Troutland, and me. So the Centralina Nominating Committee is pleased to present our recommendation for the 2025 Centralina Officer Slate. After careful review, we have decided to maintain the current slate of officers, specifically Jay McCosh of McCaddenville for chair, David Scholl of Stallings, vice chair, Jarvis Woodburn for treasurer, Anson County, and Tony Long, secretary, Mint Hill. The current officers have done an outstanding job in demonstrating a strong commitment to the progression of regional excellence. Also, there were no new candidacy letters about no one expressed any interest. As a result, no interviews were conducted and there was no need for an additional surveys. We appreciate their continued dedication and service and hope to move forward with the mentioned candidates. Are there any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close the nominations and we accept the motions, the leave or the list of officers that have been offered by the nominating committee.
All right, before we do that, I've got to open the floor to any additional nominations for officer candidates. Is there anybody else here who would want to, you want to nominate anybody else or be known? All right, so we have a motion for Mayor Emmett to accept. Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you so much. That passed. Thank you again to the nominating committee for your diligence and thoughtfulness throughout the process. We appreciate your efforts in making the nominations process accessible and very transparent. Now our board administrator will now conduct the installation of the officers, right?
So officers, if you would stand where you are. Raise your right hand.
All right. I, Jay McCosh,
David Scholl,
Jarvis Woodburn.
Tony Long,
do solemnly swear that I will support the
Constitution of the United States
and
The Constitution and laws of the state of North Carolina
and
all local ordinances, and that I will faithfully and impartially execute the duties of treasurer
of Centralina Regional Council in accordance with
this
this
charter and bylaws
to
to the best of my skill and ability according to law.
Congratulations.
All right, moving right along, item 6. So this is the 2025-26 budget overview and public hearings. At every annual meeting, the Board of Delegates approves the proposed budget ordinances and member assessment for the coming fiscal year. First, we're going to hear a presentation from Denise Strasser, who is our finance director, and then I'll open the public hearing on the budget. Denise.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. So just a little history. Okay, so we presented, Finance Department and Building presented the budgets to the executive board in January, and we are presenting to you the budget they approved to present. Let's get the next slide. So this is a copy of our budget. What we were looking at is this is the FY26 proposed budget that we're going into. And we're gonna just go over briefly some of the revenues and expenses and what some of the tables did. So if we move to the next slide, the basic revenue, the main revenue sources we have are restricted intergovernmental funds, which are the federal and state grants that we receive. This is approximately 66% of our revenue. And this year, coming into FY26, we are projecting a decrease of $240,000. And that is due primarily to the loss of some of the ARPA funding. The second largest group of revenue we have are our technical assistant projects. Those are the individual contracts we do to either assist municipalities, work with the region for transportation or other different things. And that is having a decrease of $92,500 from the prior year. Other program revenue is, there's Centralina in there, and that's usually sponsorships and fees. And it's decreasing $1 million because in FY25, the foundation, Centralina Foundation, received a $1 million grant that to help the Helene disaster. That was a one-time grant, so you see $5 million here. And then membership dues is showing an increase of $122,000 based on a 1 cent per capita increase. And that is with new members, annual population increases, the 1 cent increase. Interest and other revenue is roughly estimated to be an increase of $412,000. And that is due to a project where we received a large amount of money up front called Timber Road. And that's what we refer to it as. And the income coming in off of that, interest income is around it's about $350,000. Also, we are showing on the revenue side, the fund balance of appropriation of $14,000. That is just a tentative appropriation of reducing the fund balance in order to balance the budget with revenues and expenditures. Anybody have questions on this?
Yes. Mr. Chair. Almost hold my breath when I ask this, okay? Because we met as the executive board on January, what? 8th, okay. And to stay non-political and as apolitical as can be, we were all frightened, or at least I was, from small town government when I started hearing all the federal cuts. And I have asked our administrator, or asked our manager, so what are the impacts that we might be feeling with the federal cuts and those kinds of things? I apologize big time that I did not think about asking this before right now. But what my colleagues here need to realize is that this budget is built on some of those funds. Not a lot, but some. And I just want to throw that out there. Have we done an impacts, just a look-see to how that might hurt us? I'm sorry, Denise. I should have not done that now, but it's heavy on my heart.
We have. I am currently focusing right now on the 25, where we are going to finish up FY25. Because there has been some nutrition in employment, I think we will be fine. Okay.
For 25,
for 25,
but for 26, which is up here,
which this all happened after this was
Right.
put together.
that's what I know. And that's the reason I knew we had talked about it as an executive board prior to any discussion in DC. And now we're talking about it. I know this is not a placeholder anymore. This is the public hearing in just a moment. I just throw that out there, just not to be blindsided by it, okay? That we've got to keep our eyes open on that.
Yes, so.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
Sorry.
fine.
I mean, it's a reality. I'll just share with the board, we have not received official notification of termination of any of our federal grants yet. We've been told to stop work on several grants during this initial evaluation period. But with any change in administration, there's going to be a change in priority, and we are really great at being flexible and adaptable. We have a fantastic staff. We're able to reposition folks to work on other things. But that is something that we're actively trying to manage for.
Thank you.
Geraldine, can you give us an example or two? Are you able to do that in terms of, or at least subject matter areas? Or granting
Sure.
agents?
So any of the grants that were directly referenced in any of the executive orders, so having to do with climate, so the climate pollution reduction grant, which we received for the region, is one that we're forecasting. On the good news, we heard affirmation from EPA that our brownfields grant still is in good standing, so that's fantastic news. One of the things I just advocated for with our congressional delegation earlier this week was clarity and consistency. Just let us know what the state is so we can make adjustments and plan from there. And got great reassurances from all the offices that they're there to help make sure we get our reimbursement for anything we've already spent. And they'll do their best to help us understand the landscape going forward as best they can. So I thought that was the kind of the best response we could hope for at this particular junction. Does that answer your questions about? Great.
Thank you. It's just reality, and thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Marissa, can you?
So, and then we'll just do a brief summary of the expenses. Our major cost centers are personnel, which are salaries and benefits, and indirect. Another major cost that we have is our rent, which rolls into our indirect. And the third largest cost pool we have is IT and professional services. Our expenses has reduced by position attrition, which is mentioned. Grant funded consulting contracts. So some of the larger grants or technical assistant projects that have ended had some consultants on them that will no longer be there. And one-time foundation pass-through for the disaster relief. And this is the second page on the budget was the pass-through grant. That is just revenue that we receive and passes right through us. The aging pass-through goes back out through all the counties to assist with the elderly, and the workforce development goes to the Equus who runs their centers.
Great, so I'm just going to cover a few points regarding the proposed membership dues increase. So the executive board had a robust and thoughtful discussion in January about this. And so I just wanted to read out to the larger group some of the kind of key highlights. So the last time Centralina did a membership dues assessment increase was in 2014. It went up 5 cents per capita. In that 10-year period, obviously everyone's costs are going up, and most recently with inflation, costs are going up. So although we do have population increase that does help offset and bring more revenue in for membership dues, the general rate has not kept pace with inflation. So our proposed 1 cent per capita increase generates approximately $40,000 across all members. It's about an average increase of 5.7%. And we communicated the membership dues increase to all of our members about 3 weeks ago, I would say. in a membership dues forecast letter, which is part of our practice every year to send. The letter goes to managers or administrators, delegates, and finance directors as part of that communication. I can say to the group that I received acknowledgements back from many of your managers with understanding. We understand costs are increasing. We find this to be reasonable. That was not from everyone, but from the majority. I did not hear back from any manager saying that they had major concerns regarding the proposal. That's not to say that I know everyone's trying to be fiscally sound and make good choices. So we certainly respect that and appreciate the investment that you make in Centralina. And to that point, I just wanted to provide a few comments about what membership dues goes to fund in the organization. So as Denise mentioned, our major revenue categories of state and federal grants, technical assistance are limited. Those revenues are specific to activities. So it's not unrestricted revenue. The only unrestricted revenue that we have as an organization are membership dues. So that goes to fund everything that we do for your organizations, your local governments, and for the region, such as our Centralina Learns programming, our state and federal advocacy, all the regional networks that we host, whether that's regional managers, small town thrives network, HR professionals, grants information and support. So all of that is the main driver of the membership dues expenditure. So it funds staff time as well as services that we can provide with our partners. It also supports required match for federal and state grants for regional projects and services. So we leverage those local dollars coming in by matching that with state and federal grants. And it also helps to fund some critical operations that we can't put in our indirect. So all of our board expenses, costs that we can't put in indirect, such as legal fees, banking, advertising, and some of our personnel on admin and communication that we also can't fund directly through grants or through indirect. So it is a very critical funding source. We recognize it's a precious resource. And the reason why we are so diligent in engaging you on strategic planning and doing surveys is we want those dollars to be spent on things that you care about. So just another promotion to take the survey and help us guide our future strategic plan. So I think that concludes our presentation. If there's any questions, we're happy to answer them. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Commissioner Halp Iredale. Can you send the board the specific state or federal grants that you hear may be in jeopardy or on hold for now, so we can advocate for those? I know some of the executive orders and some of the other things, the intent I've been told was to freeze for now, most of them, and look at, the expenditures and make sure where the money's going or that it's going where it's supposed to go. And they're trying to get some audits done. And so if you can let us know the specific federal and state grants, and as you receive information from it, Geraldine, whether it's frozen or not or changing, that way we can reach out to our lobbyists and we can reach out to our contacts, our legislators in Raleigh and Washington, and talk to them about that. We've been asked to make sure we let them know impacts of some of these freezes or cuts.
Happy to do that and appreciate the offer to support our advocacy. And I'll just reciprocate that to all of you. If there are questions that you have about your grants, please feel free to send them our way. We're happy to make those inquiries. We're also posting regular updates on our Insights blog on the status of information as we're receiving it. So feel free to check back on that. And I did send some communication out to the board as all of that was unfolding a few weeks ago.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? All right, we'll turn now to the public hearing for this item, which was advertised in the Charlotte Observer on January 26th. So I'll now open the public hearing. Any members of the public who've joined this evening provide comments and are welcome to come forward to make and provide testimony. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand to be acknowledged. All right, thank you. I'll now close the public hearing. If there's no further discussion, I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025-2026 operating placeholder budget and the pass-through placeholder budget ordinances in the amount of $14,503,405 and $16,248,900 respectively, and to approve the membership dues assessment of 25 cents per capita.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Motion passes. All right. All right, so we wrap up.
Geraldine,
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask Geraldine also to send out, she doesn't have to have it tonight, and let us all know. I know we've tried in the past to reach out to all of our municipalities and counties and everybody to try to make sure we can get as close to 100% membership as we can by making sure everybody understands our services and our regional advocacy for each other and how that benefits each other. Can she let us know who is not members, through an email, and if the increase in fees negatively impacts any current members? Thank you.
Yes, we'll do.
Okay, thank you. All right, we wrap up our meetings with closing comments. Are there any comments from the Centralina staff or delegates?
Jennifer Teague, Town of Harrisburg. I just wanted to thank Kelly Weston and Maylin Joyner. They attended our council retreat last Saturday, and thanks for being so flexible. We actually had to move that date for our Timu Snow event that we had or didn't have. So I appreciate them coming out and leading us through our strategic planning. 2 years ago, Geraldine was with us as we kind of worked through our mission and vision. So this was just that second piece of that to really get that strategic plan going. So I appreciate them both being with us.
All right, anybody else?
Just as a follow-up to, who was that on the line that asked for that list?
Mr. Howell.
So just as a follow-up to that, something that Stanley County did when we were together just a bit ago that I challenge each of the counties to do, whether you caucused or not, is that, for instance, I'll play with us. We've got, there's 11 possible members in Stanley County. There's the county and 10 municipalities. We've got 3 people here. We could have had 11. This group meets 4 times a year. There's no reason for people not to show up. Okay, at this meeting, you could sit an alternate. And of those 10, we've got 4 here. We've got 5 folks that have got appointed members that are not here. And we have 3 municipalities who are not a member of COG. Okay, so I give that to you as an example, but the one thing that we decided we're going to do, and Wes has them, is Wes has the 5 bags to take to home and get to those 5 member governments, specifically the delegates or the governments of those 5 who are members. And we have made the commitment that we're going to try to reach out to the 3 that are not members right now to talk to them about the benefits of what COG offers. We are only as strong as those that are not with us. So I challenge you tonight before you leave to get with Marissa or somebody or whomever and find out who from your county is not there. And don't just take them and leave them in the trunk of your car, but get them to them. Just because I think it's just so important. This book, they do it. It takes time and effort to do that, but what a wonderful book to give to them. So that wasn't my idea. It was my colleagues right here. Thank you.
Stanley County has we have a.
Yeah, we have a
And we're
county
probably gonna
COG.
do this at the COG on the 25th.
Locust a member?
Sir?
No, Locust, it used to be a member, but they backed up. They are.
What you've got to remember too, though, is be careful when you start criticizing people. I'm sitting here on 2 Zooms at one time, and I've had people criticize me for not being there. Let me
I'm not
finish. I
criticizing
did not interrupt you. I did not interrupt you, so don't interrupt me. I'm just telling you, you want to welcome people to come or participate and support COG. They don't have to be there to be a member. We would rather have the revenue and their support, but you start criticizing them because you don't know how many boards and committees we're all on. So you need to make sure everybody wants to be a member and let them know what our services are. But when you start preaching to them and criticizing them, you're going to lose members. I'm telling you right now. And I've dealt with this since I've been here. I'm the most active board member on my board and the longest serving commissioner. We're on so many boards and committees. These people have businesses and lives. Don't criticize them, because I'm telling you right now, you can lose members in a heartbeat with that attitude. I don't disagree with what you said about the importance of working together and being supportive regionally. But if you start criticizing them because they don't come to a meeting that's an hour away or more for some people, and they can participate by Zoom or whatever, because some people have done away with their Zooms and they're losing memberships because there's a lot of people that's busy. So be careful when you start criticizing them, because I'm one of those people that can't be there. I'm on 2 Zooms at one time. I can do that from my office, but I cannot do that while I'm there with you. So don't criticize people that can't be in the room, because we can participate and vote the same way you do. And I can assure you, you'll miss Idle County's membership if that attitude keeps on. Thank you.
Well, but you are participating, and these people aren't participating any way, shape, or form.
I get it, but I'm just saying we need to be
Well, I'm
welcoming
telling
and
you.
inviting when we go meet with
Yeah,
them.
they
Well, you
can
don't
make
tell
the
me
effort,
anything.
so don't
You
be
don't
so
need to be
harsh.
rude to me. I don't know who you are. You don't be rude to me.
You
I'm
don't
not
be
being rude to
us.
you.
Hey, guys,
You were
guys,
trying to
guys,
be,
guys.
you were trying to interrupt me when I'm talking. And I didn't do that to you, and I'm not going to tolerate you doing that to me. Mr. Chairman, you need to run the meeting, and I didn't interrupt him.
Order.
I tell you what, you can have this damn board. I'm done.
Commissioner Howell, let's.
Because, I mean, he's right in a lot of things, like, we all have commuting jobs, I have 3. So, and this is the 4th thing I have to do, so.
What was his name?
I totally understand, that, we all give up stuff and we don't know. I mean, I know we've got our commissioner from Gaston County right now, he's got personal things he has to attend to, we all have stuff, and so, yeah, so we try to do the best we can to get the forums, and we need the forums. We need people who volunteer to be on these boards to try their best. But we do have some people that don't. And that's the ones we need to reach out to, not to criticize them or shame them, but to say, hey, you remember you did that? If you're too busy, and I've done this, if you're too busy, can we appoint somebody else? If not, is there something that we could do to help, help you help facilitate that, because we're just here to help. So anyway, thank you. And then we have comments from our executive director.
Thank you. Well, I just want to say how much I appreciate everyone participating. And I do want to give a shout out to Commissioner Howell. He is always on the line and on text, ready to zoom in when I need him. So Commissioner, we really appreciate you being an active participant. And we will continue to offer the Zoom option for folks because it is important for these meetings that you all are here. We had a great conversation in our non-caucusing room about some great ideas for how to keep these meetings engaging and talk about issues and topics that are appealing to you. So I look forward to reading the notes from your caucus discussions in your room. And we'll let you know the theme for the upcoming May and August meetings, and we'll go from there. A couple of events that you see up here, encourage folks to join us on next Wednesday for the advocacy conversation. We will be following up this meeting with some additional resources, as well as the requested information. And I just encourage everyone, please reach out to us. We are here for you, so no question is too small. And we would love to come out and visit in your community and talk more specifically about some of your needs. So please reach out to me or to Michelle or to any of our staff, and we'll set those up. So thank you again for participating and being so engaged tonight.